Hello, and thanks for joining me on another edition of Simply Saturday. My name is Julie. You have found me here on my YouTube channel at Stamp with Julie Baum. You can also find me at my website, stampwithjuliebaum.com. The reason for Simply Saturday is to give me a chance to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. So here we go. I've started today with a piece of Smoky Slate cardstock. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored down the middle at 4 1/4, a very traditional card base. Then I have a black and white paper. Now, black and white designer series paper tends to appear and reappear at different times pretty regularly throughout rotations of different catalogs. This paper was actually a celebration set of designer series paper, but there are other options. For instance, right now in the current 2021 catalog, 2021 to 2022, there is a hostess gift that is a package of designer series paper that's beautiful colors on one side and completely black and whites on the other. So go through your papers and see what you can find. Other papers would work as well, but today we're doing a black and white design. So I've cut my DSP to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and we're simply going to attach that to the front of the card base. So the materials needed for this card, even though I will put them in the description down below in this YouTube tutorial, but they are very simple. You need a card base made out of cardstock. You need a panel of designer series paper. You need a sentiment or word stamp, and then some basic white cardstock, and then a bright colored cardstock, your choice of color. So this panel has been glued on. Now what I did is I chose Magenta Madness for this card. So I have a scalloped circle cut out of Magenta Madness, and then I have a basic white circle that is cut just a little bit smaller. All you need to do for this card design is use two die cuts that nest together. So these are from layering circles. So there's my scallop circle for the Magenta Madness, and then just a little bit smaller of a plain circle, also out of layering circles for the white. At the end of this demonstration, I'll also show you some other cards created with other shapes. These are the layering rectangles, and they work as well, because you can see as long as there's 2 that nest in shape, you're going to be just fine. I've also used on a separate example 2 shapes from Stitched So Sweetly, and those shapes nest well together. So I'm going to take my white piece and go ahead and stamp my words on here. I've chosen words from Happy and Heartfelt. It's kind of been a season of mine that I've been using these words quite a bit. And this time I'm going to use the stamp that says, You Matter to Me. I'm just grabbing my Memento black ink, and I'm going to stamp the words right in the center of this circle. This is going to get attached to my larger circle, the scalloped one. Any adhesive that you prefer will work just fine for this. Like so. All right, then I'm going to attach my circle to my card front. Same thing, you could grab your tear and tape or your Stampin' Seal, liquid adhesive, whatever you like. This isn't too super thick. If this was going to be a little bit thicker, or if this piece of cardstock had texture to it, I would use my tear and tape, but this is going to hold just fine. So I'm going to put this circle kind of offset, slightly above center and slightly to the left of center. Then what you'll want to do is you'll want to find a matching ribbon or trim. So in this case, I do have a piece of Magenta Madness ribbon. Depending on the thickness of your ribbon, you might want to just make a knot, or this is nice and soft and lays very flat, so I am going to make a bow out of this ribbon. But at the end, when I show you the other card examples, I'll point out some of the different options. So I have my bow with my loops about the same size. I'll trim those tails. And then I'm going to attach this to the card with a glue dot. Depending on the size of your bow or your knot, you might need more than one glue dot. Sometimes I'll put a glue dot right here in the center of the knot, and sometimes then right on each side or even behind the loops. It just depends on how many you think you'll need to get your ribbon or your knot added onto the card securely. So I'm just going to use one on this. It's not very heavyweight. I'm going to add my ribbon right here, kind of balancing out the design. At this point, you can call it good. I like to add just a little bit of an embellishment even on a simple card. I happen to have some of these little dots, and this bright pink is Magenta Madness. These were in color dots. If you don't have an embellishment that exactly matches the color, just grab some rhinestones or pearls. Those would work very nicely as well. So on this one, I'm going to use 3. So I think I will use 1 at the top, a little off center. Oh, if you ever have had that happen before, I've had it happen a time or two, where the color comes free from the clear part above. Let me show you a better way to grab that so that that doesn't happen. Make sure on some of these types of embellishments that you kind of crack the backing paper away from the embellishment before you pick it up. That way you're sure to get the undercolor layer as well. So there's my pink. I'll do the same process. I'm going to bend this back, make sure it pops free before putting my little picker under there, and 1 to the left. And my final one down here. And that's it. Again, we are working towards simplicity on this design. And so I don't want to spend too much time or effort. This is a great afternoon project or evening to grab a bunch of black and white paper, chop it up, get your card bases. You can vary your colors here depending on what color cardstock you have, with some matching or coordinating ribbon and embellishments. Let me show you a couple of others. This one was done in the like fashion with the circles. This ribbon is quite a bit wider and heavier, this grosgrain ribbon. So I did a knot and secured it with 3 glue dots and simply added rhinestones to that one. On this one, I did the stitched rectangles, so it doesn't have to be a circle, as I mentioned. And also on this one, I took my piece of paper, and before attaching it, I went ahead and cut it and flipped this side over. I thought I had a piece of it here. I don't, to show you, so we'll move on. But this is this paper, and I just cut it and flipped that piece over just to give it a little variation. Didn't make the card any harder to do. Couple of embellishments, and again, our bow. And then on this last one, these were from Stitched So Sweetly. They nest very nicely together. This is Bermuda Bay with a very narrow trim. So I took 2 pieces and tied them in a knot at the same time and secured my knot. So once again, a fun, fast and easy card for Simply Saturday. If you'd like more information about my website or about the products that I use today, just look in the description below and I'll have all the information that you need. Thank you for watching, and as always, I like to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It helps me a lot and I so appreciate it. Thank you. See you next time.